Hello everybody, my name is Patricia. I am a first generation Beatles fan and you're watching my channel that's called A Little Beatles Corner. Today I thought I would tell you a tiny story about when Paul and Linda McCartney did come to Chicago way back when to promote Linda McCartney's new vegetarian frozen food line. And my plan today after that is just to highlight a few other things that Linda did in terms of vegetarianism, and then I'll show you a couple things related to this whole topic. So, okay, but before I get started on this little story, I do want to thank everybody who has ever stopped by my channel to watch any of my videos. I know there's a lot of Beatle creators out there, and there's a lot of competition probably for that, for views and memberships and all that stuff. So I'm really grateful for the people who have come over to my channel to watch any of my videos, and whether you've subscribed or not. I'm really grateful for the fact that you'd be interested in anything that I'm trying to do. So, all right, I'm trying to think out of the box, but okay, so thank you again. I really appreciate you all. Now, the story is this. In May 1994, Paul and Linda did go to Chicago, downtown, to a hotel, and they were on a press junket to promote Linda's new frozen food line. Now, they also went to other cities, and I know they went to St. Louis for sure, and Detroit, but other than that, I couldn't find any other information on the internet about how many cities they actually went to promote the new food, and how long they were, around, the United States doing this. Unfortunately, that information seems to be missing from me searching on the internet, and it seems like it's another piece of Beatle history that's kind of lost in between the cracks, which is kind of sad. But anyway, as I said, they did go downtown to a big hotel, and it was for the press only. Now, the reason I got to go is because I had a girlfriend who did write news articles for newspapers from time to time, and so she was a big Beatles fan too, and she wangled the newspaper to say okay to her writing a story about the event. So she got a press pass and she got me one as her assistant, so I'm always grateful to her for that. So that's how I got to go to the event. So we get there, and it's in a room within a hotel, and there's rows of, folding chairs for the press people to sit in. And we wound up in, I want to say, the second or third row. It's pretty close up. And unbeknownst to us when we sat down, we would be on the Linda side. So when the McCartneys came in, they were elevated like up on more of a platform thing, so you could see them really good. And they sat at a long table with microphones, and so they talked about, what they were doing and the food and all that stuff. Now, I don't remember whether or not there was a question and answer period. There could have been, but I just don't remember. And I want to say the whole thing might have lasted a half an hour or so. So at the end of it, Paul starts getting up, and so of course the whole room starts moving because everybody wants to go to the front where he's at to get his autograph. So he did sign, I want to say, 2 autographs, I think, and then he was on the move. Now, us being on the Linda side, there was no way that we could have gotten up to get one of those 2 autographs, even though I did bring my Yesterday sheet music to no avail. But in a way it was good because I was on the Linda side, and I did bring Linda a gift that I had made. So, I do some needlework stuff from time to time, so I did make her a little needlework thing, which was sheep in the grass, and then I needleworked a McCartney name on the bottom of it. It was really cute, and I thought it'd be right up her alley, and she would really like it. So when she was on the way out, because she was the last one, I did call her name. She turned around, and I did give her the gift, and she did take it with her. So I'm glad she got it because it took me forever to make that darn thing. But, I like to think that at least she had it for a little while. Whatever happened to it, who knows. So anyway, that's the McCartney in Chicago story. Now, it got me thinking about Linda and vegetarianism kind of in general. So I wanted to kind of recap what she did that I know about in her life, and if you all have anything to add that I don't talk about, I would really appreciate it. So in 1991 was actually the first food company that was created for her foods. And I think the building was actually built to accommodate that. And she went to some groundbreaking thing where she laid a brick or something from what I read, somewhere in the UK. And so that was 1991, and so 1991, 1992, her foods were getting sold over there in, in some countries in Europe and whatever. And by 1993, then Paul made an announcement that they wanted to do the same thing in the United States to offer Linda's Foods for people here. So they hooked up with this company called the Fairmount School Foods Company, and they were located in around the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. So they actually went to Fairmount Foods in 1993, and they visited the plant, and everything was already a food company, I guess. And you could see stories on the internet. They met some of the workers that worked there who got their autographs and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool. But so that was 1993, and by 1994, the food was out for people's consumption at grocery stores and supermarkets in the United States. Now, I remember that at the time there was probably, well, there were a couple grocery stores you could get her food pretty easily, and there were maybe a half a dozen frozen foods you could get that were mostly like pasta or macaroni or something. And so that was that. But then a year and a half, 2 years later, I'm not quite sure, a big controversy came up about those foods because on one hand, it was a vegetarian healthy food, meatless and all that. But on the other hand, there was a lot of fat in it, which of course made it taste good. So there was a lot of criticism about how you can have, a healthy vegetarian food with so much fat in it. Now, I don't know how long that controversy lasted or how it got resolved, but eventually the whole thing kind of died down somehow. Maybe the McCartneys changed some of the food ingredients that they had in their stuff. I really don't know, but it really was a controversy for a while. Now, as far as Fairmount Foods goes, they only sold the foods for what they say is a couple of years. Now, I don't know what that means, 2 years, 3 years, maybe at the tops. And then they did sell the Linda McCartney portion of their company. It changed hands twice, and in 2006, a company by the name of Hains, Hains, which is a big, organic food supplement, wellness, nutritional thing company, they purchased it. And I don't know whether they've done anything with it, because I don't think so, since they bought it way back when. I've never seen anything else with her name on it, since they had the frozen foods initially. Now, if anybody in the United States knows anything about that, I would really appreciate it. And same for over the pond in the UK. If you have any history about how long her foods were sold and where they were sold and everything, I would like to put that piece of the puzzle together. That would be great. But anyway, the the Fairmount Foods Company actually did close their doors entirely in 2015. So, but as I say, they sold it, the Linda McCartney portion of it way years before that. So it was only a few years, it sounds like 2 years, 3 years maybe, that the food was, being made and sold at all. So, so that's that. Now, in addition to the two food companies, Linda also did a lot of cookbooks. So in 1989, she made her first cookbook, which was 2 years before the first UK food company was developed. And then the second cookbook was in 1995, which was after those two companies were completed and running. So she took a hiatus in between there, maybe because she was busy with the frozen food companies, I don't know, but there was a little bit of a gap. Now, in her lifetime, she put out 8 cookbooks under her name between 1989 and 1998 when she died. So she was pretty prolific in putting out vegetarian cookbooks on a regular basis, especially after 1995. Now in 2019, another cookbook came out under her name, and I guess Paul might have been involved in that. And it was a vegetarian cookbook, of course. And then more recently, in 2022, there's a cookbook called McCartney Family Cookbook, in which supposedly they took some of Linda's old recipes and tried to make them healthier for people to consume. Now, you can go on YouTube. There's a big, long interview with Paul and both of his daughters. In an interview, we're talking about the creation of this book and all the memories and stuff. So it might be a pretty interesting book to get, because it supposedly has McCartney family photos in there and, memories about what they did when they were all younger, cooking the vegetarian lifestyle. So anyway, that's all the cookbooks. Now, in addition to that, they made a big, I would say, pop culture splash in the United States, because they hooked up with the creators of the cartoon show called The Simpsons. Now, I don't know whether UK has ever seen The Simpsons or whether you get it or not, but it's going on for years and years and years. It's definitely part of American pop culture. So in 1995, the Simpsons creators and the McCartneys got together, and the McCartneys agreed to be part of this vegetarian episode where Lisa, one of the family characters, becomes vegetarian in this episode, only if they promised that Lisa would remain a vegetarian for the rest of her cartoon life, I guess. So the Simpsons creators agreed to that, and so there was actually an episode concerning, McCartney's and Lisa becoming vegetarians. So you could look for that maybe somewhere, I don't know. So that was pretty big, though, as far as pop culture went. Now in 2009, there's something that came up that I guess Paul developed mostly. It was called Meat-Free Mondays, and it's still going today. You can actually go online under meatfreemondays.com and sign up, and you can get little news things. And I think Paul is kind of in and out of it now. It's not totally his, but other people run it. But it's all about the vegetarian lifestyle and news, and it's also about environmental stuff. And it asks you to think about going vegetarian in terms of what you consume one day a week. So that's been going on for a pretty long time, since 2009. So that, I think that's pretty good. Now, the other thing I found was in 1998, which of course was the last year of her life. I would imagine Linda was involved in it before that in terms of the creation of it, but apparently there was a bicycle club that was named in her behalf in the UK that were vegetarian bicyclists, and I don't know if they did enter different venues for, against other bicyclists, or what they did. Maybe UK people, you could tell me more about that. But that lasted for 3 years, and it folded in after that, probably because of her death, and there was some financial issues too. So after 3 years, that bicycle thing folded. So, there you can see that Linda, spent a large part of her life pioneering some stuff related to vegetarianism, and she deserves all the acclimates, that you could give her, because she talked the talk and walked the walk. So good for her, and I think she'd be proud today of how many people have this kind of lifestyle and find it as important as she did at that time. So kudos to her. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things related to all this before I leave you today. So the first thing I will show you is my actual, what you want to call, press pass that was made for me. It says Fairmount Foods on it for that day, and the back is blank. Now I have a couple of photos. Now I did not take these photos. Somebody I know took them, but This is where, you know, they would go around with the executive of Fairmont Foods together. And here's another one. I hope you can see these all right. And then here's one of Paul and Linda with the executive kind of in the corner somewhere. And here's the last one, which is cute. There's Paul and Linda behind a big box of food, which is what they were advertising. So those are the little photos that I can find right now. Now, I do have a Linda McCartney food box. Actually, I got two of them, so I'll show you them, but they're both the same. So here it is. This is called Spaghetti Milano. And here's the back of it. It's 480 calories per serving, and there's only one serving in a box, so I guess you could say there's maybe not that healthy. I'm not sure. And here's the sides of the box. And it's dated 1994 on the box. Now I do have the same box, another box. Unfortunately, it's not a different food, but I guess you have what you have. No, it's another one. It's the same box. And now the last two things I'm going to show you are two of Linda's cookbooks. So this is the first one that she put out in 1989, which was 2 years before she did anything with the food companies. It's kind of a nice picture of Linda and on these covers, I think. So we have Linda's Home Cooking. It says quick, easy, and economical vegetarian dishes for today. And so a lot of them have, like here's one, egg salad sandwich spread. I mean, some of these are so simple. You could make them up yourself, some of these recipes, but I guess you have to look at the time, being 1989. That was quite a long time ago, and it was more of a novel breakthrough idea for, you know, vegetarianism. Now, this book did cost $16.95 when it came out back then. So that's Linda's Home Cooking book. That's the first one. Now, the second one I have is her second book that came out in 1995, which is after the United States Food Company was going. This one's a hardback. That's the same kind of thing. Simple, meatless recipes with some photos. Yeah. And just pick out a page for you to kind of take a look at. I don't know if you can see that well enough or not. So there it is, Linda's kitchen. So those are the two cookbooks that I have out of the 8 that came out within her life. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, maybe learned a little something, and found it enjoyable enough. So I appreciate any comments that you have. Any information about Linda and the veggie thing would be great if anybody has any additional details about anything. Anything you want to ask me to comment on or clarify, let me know. And I look forward to seeing you again. And as always, Beatles forever.